Hey guys, what is up? Zero here, and welcome back to Fruits of the Literature Club, Chapter 5, Natsuki Route. Jesus Christ, that is still a long-ass thing to say. In the last episode, we had, what did happen last episode? We were going through some stuff, trying to figure out, everything that happened with MC's quote-unquote death, and...
Death.
And yeah, and we've discovered that the person who planned it, big shocker, was Natsuki's dad. Whoa! And I know I read the comments. A lot of people were saying how they kind of called that Natsuki's dad had some affiliation with the company. Which honestly, yeah, I figured it did too. Figured he did too.
Yeah.
Him being an ex-agent, I guess I didn't really call, but I mean, still, I guess we were all still kind of right with him being a somewhat affiliated with the.
He was
company.
affiliated in a way.
Yeah, I was like, everyone was still right with him being and everyone was kind of right with him being affiliated with the attack that happened that night. Because I know a lot of people were saying like it kind of felt like it was probably him who did that. But yeah, and now Julia has discovered that, and she's running over to I think Natsuki's house, right? Yeah, she is. She's like, oh my god, he's an agent. He might know that we're onto him now. I hope Natsuki's okay. And yeah, so now we are, I'm assuming only, now we're Natsuki, considering it's like it said Natsuki's house. So I'm only assuming we are Natsuki and horrible things are happening to us, so that's lovely. But don't worry, MC's probably going to find a way to come back to life, and we'll see what happens. And by come back to life, I mean he never died.
He's going to find a way to just come back to life.
I'm just waiting. He's going to show up, and I'm just going to have to tell everybody, see? I told you so.
See? We'll see.
Alright. I close my eyes and try to picture something else. Something better. Anything that's better than this. Using my hands, I cover my face and wait until it's over. When it is, I roll off Dad's bed and run to my room. Oh, yay.
Oh, okay.
Closing it and locking the door behind me, I collapse on my floor and start crying. Every time this happens, I feel dead inside. I feel so dirty and useless. Is my worth only to do that? Gagging on the floor, I consider throwing up to get the taste out of my mouth.
No.
I'd much prefer the taste of my vomit than bile forces itself in my throat and into my mouth. Placing my hand against my mouth to prevent it from coming out, I swallow it back down. Oh, that's like even worse. Throw up here on the carpet, he'll beat me again. Not to mention, it won't be easy to clean. Ugh. Mustering the energy to pick myself up off the floor, I manage to catch a glimpse of myself in my mirror. I'm disgusted with myself. Grabbing some clothes from my dresser, I quickly put them on to hide my body from myself. Tears blurring my vision to the point of near blindness, I sit down on my bed and lower my head. I can't believe any of this. Everything is going downhill. I sink my head in my hands. I silently allow my tears to fall. An hour passes, and I've managed to calm myself down enough to lie on my bed and rest. Looking out my window, I watch the stars and the clouds in the distance pass. The moonlight shines through my window, just barely illuminating my room with a pretty blue glow. Come to think of it, it's pretty hot in here. I should open the window to cool off. Dad never ever lets me touch the thermostat, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. He's just in the shower right now, cleaning himself off. I never even had the opportunity to do that. I never do. Lifting myself from my soft and comfy bed, I reach my window and prop it open. A gust of cool air enters my room and immediately starts to cool me off. That feels nice. A small part of my imagination taking over, I close my eyes and picture myself in a grassy field with tons of fresh air and freedom. Hee. The door slamming downstairs, racing from my daydream and back into reality. Natsuki! Oh god, why is he screaming? Get your ass down here! Involuntarily, fear forces me to comply. I run to my door, open it, and head downstairs. Before I can reach the bottom, however, Dad appears around the corner and grabs my hair. As his large hand grips a chunk of it, he pulls me down the rest of the stairs into the living room. What are you doing? Look at this. He picks me up by my hair and then lowers me to the ground, forcing my head to look at the floor. On the ground are remains of what used to be my school uniform. When we had gone home earlier, he tore them off of me. Why haven't you cleaned this up yet? You're a goddamn slob, and I'm sick and tired of it. Dad, you never gave me the chance to... Ah! Dad slaps the right side of my face, causing my head to jerk and my hair to be pulled. This does not make me look good. How do you think I feel? You ripped my clothes off and dragged me upstairs against my will. He slaps the side of my head again, causing my mind to go blank and my vision to turn blurry for a moment. In my stunned daze, he lets go of my hair and I drop to the ground, slamming my already sore knees against the wood flooring. How dare you talk back to me like that? I made you. I put a roof over your head, gave you a bed to sleep in, and food to eat. I even go out of my way to deal with your incessant friends. And all you happen to think is that I don't care at all. Well, you know what? You're just an ungrateful little bitch. That's it. I've had it with you. When my vision clears and I'm able to shake myself out of my daze, I watch him walk around the room, staring at me with violent intent in his eyes. Granted, he's been horrible to me for years, but he's never been this bad before. What's wrong? Is something stressing him out? He paces around the room, getting angrier and angrier at me doing absolutely nothing, especially something I honestly had no say in. Looking down at my tattered and destroyed uniform, I can sense he's only getting more and more frustrated with me. What is he going to do? At this point, I'm so scared that my hands will stop shaking. Scared that even the slightest of movements will cause him to strike me again. You know, if your boyfriend was still alive, he'd buy you a new uniform. But unfortunately, he's gone. He's dead, and you're alone like you always will be. But you won't have to worry about that for long. He walks over to me and kicks the tattered remains of my uniform away. When I look up, his gaze meets mine, and the look in his eyes solidifies the panic that bubbles within me. And he reaches down and picks me up by my shirt, lifting me off the ground and raising me to his eye level. What are you doing? He turns around and slams me into a wall. Ah! He brings his face inches from mine, making me wince and push my head against the wall. I don't want his face to be anywhere near mine. My voice cracking and coming out weakly, I try to get Dad to stop. Dad, please stop. Shut up! You have done nothing but be a problem for me. And I'm sick of it. And I have no choice but to cut all ties. What? Very quietly under his breath, he spoke those words, sending a surge of shock throughout my body. What does he mean by that? He moves his hands to my neck, and with both of them, he starts squeezing. Ah! Dad! As his grip strengthens around my throat, I feel the air leave my lungs to never return. My face starts to feel extremely hot, and the panic finally starts to set in. Using my nails, I try to claw at Dad's arms to get him to let go. His eyes stare directly into mine, making me claw faster and faster out of fear. However, even though my nails are considerably digging into his arm, he doesn't budge. Why is he doing this? What did I do to deserve this? Dad, I'm sorry. He pulls me away from the wall and slams me back into it. Ugh! The back of my skull must have left a dent in the wall or something. I can feel the indentation of it. He loosens his grip on me and I manage to take a big breath of air in. But just as quickly as I can, he tightens his grip on my throat. Desperately trying anything to get him to stop, I try to swing at his face, but I can't reach. He puts himself just outside the scope of my reach. This is it. I'm going to die by my own father's hand. Why did it have to be this way? I thought he loved me. I thought I was his daughter. What type of father does this to his own child? As my lungs burn and my vision starts to tunnel, my mind goes to one thing. 0. At least, I'll be able to see him again. Dad loosens his grip on my throat when someone knocks on the front door. allowing me to take a breath as he looks between myself and the door. He contemplates what to do as I gasp for air against the grip of his leathery hands. The door knocks again, louder and harder this time. Involuntarily gasping for air, I try the only thing left to save myself. Help me! Help! God, you little bitch! He starts to continuously slam me against the wall like a rag doll until I go limp. My back, my head, my neck, they all hurt very badly. My vision goes dizzy again and I feel strangely weak, like I'm in a daze. Open the door! Shouting is heard at the front door, which prompts Dad to look away. Even while staring into space uncontrollably, I feel Dad's grip on me weaken. Open the door now! What the hell? Don't tell me it's already too late. A loud crashing sound comes from the front door, which startles me out of my dizziness and back into conscious reality. The front door hangs off its hinges and 3 people walk inside. A tall woman with brown hair and 2 men of varying sizes either side of her. The man standing next to her are all dressed in all black with what I think are bulletproof vests and carrying guns. Wait a second. Blinking a few times, I managed to get a look at the woman's face. It's Julia! Dad lets go of me and I slide down the wall, barely hitting the ground. My knees buckle underneath me, and I weakly manage to keep myself upright. Julia. Dad steps away from me and stares directly at Julia. Hideki, give it up. You're going to come with me and you'll pay for what you have done. And what if I don't? Are you going to take me by force? What are they talking about? Why are they calling my dad that? That isn't his name. If we have to, we will. Fine. He raises his hands above his head and the 2 men on either side of Julia slowly walk toward him. When both the men are close to him, they reach out for his arms. But almost in the blink of an eye, Dad grabs one of the guy's arms and throws him over his shoulder. So fast I barely catch a glimpse of it. Ah, see, I knew he wasn't gonna go easy. Huh? You know, the guy grabs on the dad's arm and yanks it down. Dad throws his left hand up against it. The guy's arm contorts up at an angle that makes me instantly sick. He lurches back, but Dad wraps both of his hands around the guy's head and he instantly drops limply to the ground. The entire time, Dad's face remains sternly calm and unexpressive. What is he doing? What is going on here? Dad turns around and swiftly kicks the guy he toppled. You'll have to do better than that. Julia and my father walk toward each other, both of them staring each other down with pure hatred in their eyes. This isn't good. He's going to hurt her. From my angle, I could see a majority of my father's back. But I barely catch something moving on my dad's wrist. On further inspection, it looks as if he has something hidden in his sleeve. He and Julia go to swing at each other, but I try to call out and warn her before it's too late. Julia, watch out! He has something up his sleeve! She quickly looks at me and then bolts backward. My dad's fist barely misses her, giving her a window to strike back. He lands a punch squarely into his nose, but he doesn't flinch. He reaches forward and grabs onto her throat, ducking himself down and rotating his hips so he can throw Julia across the living room just by her neck alone. She breaks her fall with her arms and rolls forward, allowing her to stand up with ease. Whoa. As she recovers, my dad charges into her and grabs onto her arms. Pulls her close enough that he's able to get his shoulders near her stomach. Dad straightens his back, lifting Julia up. No! Julia contorts her body enough to knee my dad in the face. He stumbles a bit while Julia wraps her legs around his right arm. Quicker than I can comprehend, she kicks her legs out and my dad comes crashing down over her. She now has him in a lock, stretching his arms out well past the angle I think it should. Ugh! Wait a second. At this angle, I can see my dad's right sleeve. He has a knife hidden in it! Before I can even get the words out, the knife slides perfectly into his grip and he slams it down at Julia. Julia! She catches his wrist with one of her arms and struggles to keep the knife from getting any closer. The other man, who had been knocked up by my dad when he was kicked in the head, gets up and charges. Dad swings his feet across the ground and gets the momentum to lift Julia with his trapped arm. She lets go, and he rolls back onto his feet, engaging in combat with Julia's saber. When she manages to stand back up, Dad plunges his knife into his opponent's neck and rips it to the side. No! Spinning and turning on his heel, he swings the knife at Julia. She turns and rotates her body while simultaneously backing up, just barely dodging his swings. One of his swings grazes her cheek and cuts it slightly. Flattening her hand and angling her palm up, strikes upward into my dad's face. But he barely recoils and pushes Julia's head down against his knee. She stumbles weakly and collapses onto the floor. No, God no, he knocked her out!
I said you'll have to do better than that. But if this isn't what you're made of, then I would be doing you a favor in ending your life.
I quickly try to think of something to do to save Julia's life. I could throw something. Thinking faster than I ever have before, I run to the corner of the room and grab a vase. Dad looks down at Julia and places one of his feet against her neck. Taking a big breath in, I shout and throw a vase at my dad's head. Yeah! The vase soars across the room and crashes into the back of his skull, shattering instantly. Ugh! He turns around to look at me, his eyes as terrifying as they've ever have been.
You little...
He removes his foot from Julia's neck and starts to charge toward me. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Springing to the stairs, I start to climb them, almost 3 steps at a time. He barrels after me faster than I've ever seen him move before. Stretching my small legs as far as they can, I get to the top of the stairs and race to my room. Locking the door behind me, I stare at it and back away. Loud and panic-inducing thumps grow closer and closer at an almost unimaginable speed. The door starts to shake violently as he slams his fist against it. Damn it. I've cornered myself. I can't get out from here. Walks into the room and stops shortly after the doorway, blocking me in.
You know, I'll give you credit. That was a smart idea back there. But every smart idea has its cons. You'll die before her, Natsuki.
Dad, please. You don't have to do this.
Yes, sweetheart, I do. Just don't struggle, and I'll make it quick for you. You are my daughter, after all, and I can give you special treatment.
He steps toward me and grabs onto my neck, lifting me straight off the ground and into the air. No! He squeezes extremely tightly, immediately making my head feel warm and my airflow to be completely blocked. I was in the middle of talking when he grabbed me. I have almost no oxygen in my lungs. Gripping onto his wrist and desperately kicking my legs out to hit him proved to be completely useless. His grip on me, it can't. I start to water as I look down into his. Through the blur of my tears, I see a shadowy figure rise up behind my dad and wrap an arm around his neck. Dad drops me to the ground. I start to cough and gasp for air. Every breath I take feels like I'm inhaling ice. It stings so much. Falling backward from my dad, I see the figure throw him over their shoulder. Dad lands on his back and rolls upright. Eventually, I get to the corner of my room and helplessly watch what happens.
You have a lot of nerve distracting me from what I was doing, Julia.
Dad slightly raises his fist and steps to the side. The figure steps in the faint blue light of the moon.
My name isn't Julia, Hideki. You're still alive!
I can't believe it. Zero stands before my dad with a look I've never seen before.
Someone better pick up that phone.
Just keep reading.
Because I fucking called it, by the way.
No, just keep reading. We understand.
That's right, you just don't want me to brag!
Just keep reading.
You just don't want me to brag.
I mean, I knew he was alive. Just keep reading.
Yeah, I'm right.
And I wasn't?
You weren't, you're wrong.
Well, I have the same opinion as you.
Alright, you told me to keep reading and now you're stopping it.
Well, then go!
I was going to.
It's the true look of hatred. Zero!
How did you survive? You of all people should know this by now.
Zero looks over at me and then back to my dad.
You don't kill the Reaper that easily. See, I told you he
You know
wasn't
what?
dead.
You know what? At that moment when, like, it was like, oh, a figure grabs his neck. I was like, it's the MC. It's MC.
Everyone figured it was the MC. Oh man, Julia really found a way to get up those stairs.
I mean, you never know. Maybe she woke up and ran up
She
the stairs.
fucking stabbed her.
Oh. I mean, still.
As I lose energy and weaken, I can't do much about this guy strangling me. I've tried everything I possibly can. As little there was. My lungs, still filled with a decent amount of air, burned to release and take in more oxygen. With how tightly wrapped the wires around my neck, I'm unable to do either. In this situation, you can't measure how long your target is left to live, so you wait until they stop moving. Especially during asphyxiation, your opponent will involuntarily move and resist against you until the very end. Then, when they finally go limp, it's safe to assume you've won. Luckily for me, I have experience with holding my breath and dropping my blood pressure to near deceased levels. So as I said before, he faked his death. He was trained to fake his death. It's one of the main reasons why I tend to control my breathing in stressful situations. There is a downside. I will lose consciousness. If he happens to keep his grip on me well after I've passed out, then I will die. Well, no other option. I have to at least try this. Using my final reserves of energy, I force myself to go limp and I steady my involuntarily convulsions. Each of my limbs tingle, my vision fades to black, and my mind goes blank. The world begins to phase into my vision slowly and obscurely, like I'm viewing everything at a frame per second. An intense and severe migraine resonates within my skull. Struggling to sit up, I rest my left forearm on the concrete floor to prop me up. With my right, I rub my eyes and notice a single figure in the room with me. The agent that attacked me is nowhere to be found, and the metallic desk from earlier is upturned. As the world clears and sharpens in my vision, I look at the figure specifically. Smaller build, thin and curvy body structure, and black hair tied into a ponytail. See, I knew Miyuki had something to do with this. Her face becomes pallid at the sight of me rising from the dead. You look like you've seen a ghost. No, I've seen the Grim Reaper himself. Pushing myself from my forearm to sit up, I rest my head on my neck. My hand on my neck. Miyuki stands frozen, unable to move and having a very hard time speaking. Pressing against my neck with my hand, where all skin from the wire stings sharply. Judging by the way the desk and chairs are strewn about the room, I'd say that the agent who attacked me has been caught and taken in. It won't be too far off to say that Miyuki probably has a medical team coming down here to retrieve my body. Which could actually work out in my favor. How long until the medical team gets here? Like less than a minute? Cancel them. Tell Julia they took my remains. Huh? You don't want her to know you're alive? No. It's best that for now everyone thinks I'm dead. Including Julia. Ah, see, told you it was a plan. I knew it! Planned.
I mean, what else would it be if it wasn't a plan?
I also knew it that he didn't tell Julia as well, but Miyuki knew. I knew it was a plan, probably, but then Miyuki knew about it. I didn't know how many people were in on it, but I knew Miyuki was in on it. She definitely felt like she was. She stands there before me, apprehensive. Listen, I'm really sorry about how I acted earlier. The entire reason for this was to draw out the traitors and... I waved my hand up to stop her from talking. I understand. I had a hunch. You did? When? Right around the time that looming oath wrapped a wire around my neck. After covering myself and sitting down with Miyuki, we had discussed that it was best I remain incognito until we find out what is responsible behind all of this. I'm a fairly recognizable person, so I have to blend in and stay out of the spotlight for a while. Thankfully, I happen to be pretty good at makeup, so I think I can help you blend in for a while. Well then, make me up, Miyuki. Turns and hides her blushing face, proving to me that she has considered that before. Julia will be leaving the office soon to retire for the night. She's extremely exhausted from, well, you know. Just let me know when she leaves and I'll go into it. No, I'll escort you. I can't risk you being seen entering a division chief's office alone. You have a point there. I guess I have no other choice then, eh? I'm afraid not. Just come with me and make sure to cover your neck when walking past someone.
Yeah, I'd imagine the discolored line across my neck would be a red flag to passers-by.
Extremely.
She reaches behind her head and adjusts her ponytail. After, she extends her hand out to me.
I'm relieved you're still with us, Zero.
I, too, reach out my hand and wrap it around hers. Through the softness of her hand, I can feel it gently quiver. After all, I assume some jittering is normal after an event such as this. Factoring in our handshake, I follow her carefully around the building until we get to Julia's office. After Miyuki and I make sure Julia's gone for the night, she ushers me into the office and sits me down. She leaves for a few minutes while I sit in the dark office and think to myself. I hate to have to play dead for a while, but I can't afford to have anyone figure out that I'm still alive. Miyuki has a lock on the medical team has informed Julia that my body cannot be seen yet, so we have that road covered. However, the hard part is remaining away from Natsuki and the girls until this is over. But it isn't like I have any other choice now. It's like I don't have any other choice. Now that I'm dead, the search of this operation's kingpin will be much easier. There won't be anything for them to hide behind to get close to me. Before I can delve further into thought, Miyuki returns to the room with a large, overly complex makeup kit. I'm gonna drink some water, my throat's been dying. And before long, the mark around my neck is covered up, and a few features about my face have been changed to make me less recognizable. I won't lie, Yuki's one talented beautician. I couldn't even recognize myself at first, reinforcing my prior resolve and making my worries disappear. From there, we plan out what we're going to do.
It's getting a little cloudy out. We should probably head out soon. I agree. We probably shouldn't take long as well. Get in, grab his stuff, and get out. I know it isn't going to be easy, ma'am, but we need to retrieve his critical age information before anyone else does. No, I understand. It has to be done. We can't let that fall into unauthorized hands.
Julia grabs her keys and this is Miyuki.
Julia grabs her keys and stands up from her desk. Her face is blank, her eyes glossing over to prevent the intense emotion she feels inside.
So, the agent said the Eastern Branch sent the order?
Correct. Doesn't sound right to me, but I can't help but feel that may be true.
Yeah, I feel there's some merit to it, but I haven't the foggiest clue as to why EB would do this.
I have no idea either, but I think I have a hunch.
What is it?
There has to be some sort of paper order that was created to even authorize the attack on you. If we can find that order, we can have veritable proof against the EB.
Not to mention we can get a name from the signature.
Precisely.
So how do you suppose we go about getting this proof?
We start looking in the Eastern Branch's files.
And how do you suppose we do that? Just go up to them and ask?
Why ask when we can just help ourselves?
Yuki leans forward and winks at me. And received a call from Yuki saying that Julia had gone to the assistant director with the information we had gathered from our little miniature investigation. Making my way through the labyrinthine halls of the field office, I reach Julia's office and quickly slip inside. Closing the door behind me, setting sun's glow fills the room with an orange haze that I would watch if I was in this particular circumstance. Yuki stands next to Julia's desk, being both nervous and tired from our endless work over the last couple of days. Sit down, Miyuki, or you collapse from exhaustion.
It's exhausting acting like I'm perfectly fine around Julia. I haven't slept a wink in a few days. What about you? You don't look tired at all.
Oh, I'm fatigued, but I'm more prone to pushing those needs to the side.
Jesus, I guess that's what being raised to become a weapon will do to you.
Oh, you have no idea. Miyuki sits down on a very high quality, comfortable leather couch that Julia has positioned in the middle of the room. I sit down across from her, tipping the 8-point cap I have on just to cover my eyes. Stretching both of my arms across the back of the chair, I sigh and rest my head. Now all I have to do is wait for Julia to return. All of a sudden, the door flies open and Julia quickly walks in, prompting Miyuki and I to look at her. She looks at Miyuki and then to me quickly before taking a deep breath in.
Miyuki, it's her father! What?
What?
Hideki Obayashi. It's Matsumoto Kaijin, Natsuki's father. He's a 4-digit agent from the Eastern Branch. He's been doing this an entire time. You're kidding. Julia turns and looks at me twice before stopping. Why is he in here? Oh,
That's rude, Jules. Julia's eyes widen and her hands immediately start to shake. Moving the cat from my head, I give Julia a small smirk.
Zero.
As I stand up, Julia rushes over to me and wraps her arms around me.
You're alive.
Her voice softens to a very quiet whisper.
Thank God.
Her embrace on me tightens as she pulls me into her. I can practically feel her despair dissolve as she holds me in her arms. But, without a single comment or negative flare, I wrap my arms around her as well.
I've really missed you. God, I thought you were gone forever.
I can't offer you words of comfort other than I've missed you too. Both of us leave the hug, and she looks directly to Miyuki.
Did you know about this? Yes, ma'am.
She and I have worked together since the incident, and to maintain the atmosphere that was generated, I had to play dead. Unfortunately, it also meant you had to believe I was dead. Otherwise, you could tip off whoever was behind this. Your demeanor had to be genuine.
I see. Well, I hate you both for doing that. But it was really smart, so thank you for that.
Alright, enough of this mushy crap. So, that bastard was behind all this? My stomach drops and I almost feel nauseous. How many times was I so close to him? This despicable piece of trash has been tracking me the entire time. I could have stopped this long ago. None of this would have ever happened if I just ended it when I had the chance. I'm sorry, Natsuki. If I had acted sooner, you wouldn't have to deal with this. The least I can do now is make it right. Burning feeling starts deep within my chest, giving me a new presence of vengeful energy. By the time we finally prepare and get outside, the sun is fully set and the night sky greets us. Julia, Miyuki, and I jog out of the main entrance and down the concrete steps of the field office. Black SUV pulls up with the back passenger window rolled down. Ma'am, get in! We're ready to go! She looks back at me with a concerned look on her face, like she doesn't want to leave me alone. I wave her into the car. Just go! I'll be right behind you. She nods again to the passenger side of the car. As the car speeds off, Miyuki places her hand on my shoulder.
We can take my car. It'll be faster than preparing an SUV.
Let's do it then. Past my shoulder and starts to jog down a side path leading away from the main roadway. As I follow her, we get into the small two-seated car and drive to Natsuki's house, following the directions I provide. During the pauses between each of my directions, I delve deeper into my mind and contemplation. The time I've been an agent, I've made a name for myself, created a reputation for myself that seems to be more than just a reputation. They call me the Reaper, an entity of vengeance that obliterates any obstacle in its path, seemingly unable to be killed and unstoppable until it drags you to hell. I never understood why that connotation had been applied to me, but now I'm starting to see why. I'm finally beginning to understand that my only true purpose in this world is to be the one that drags my enemies to hell. Maybe it's time I embrace the revenant that I am. It'll be the only way I can survive this fight. Hideki's a 4-digit agent like I am. 4-digit agents are agency's top-performing weapons. They're capable of doing anything that's in the scope of their skill set, which makes me a little worried about what is about to transpire. I have no idea how skilled Hideki is, nor what he is possibly capable of. But what I do know is that Natsuki depends on this. I will not fail her again. When we arrive, the SUV that Julia rode in is already parked and the front door has been kicked in.
Looks like they've started.
Miyuki, I want you to stay in the car. I'll go in and check. She doesn't respond and just nods in affirmation. Opening and closing the door car quietly, I skulk up the driveway into the front door. Stepping carefully through the doorway, make sure I'm being completely quiet. I peek around a small corner into the living room. The agents that arrive with Julia are collapsed onto the ground, one bleeding profusely from their neck. Scanning the room further, I notice Julia slumped over in the corner of the room. Son of a bitch. Peeking my head around the corner a little further to extend my sight range, I conclude that no one else is in the room with me. Natsuki and Hideki are unaccounted for. Quickly making my way into the living room, I check Julia's pulse and find that she still has one, weak at best. She's taken one hell of a beating because she doesn't go down easily. Even I have difficulties when I spar against her. I consider shaking her shoulder trying to wake her up, but she looks like she's out cold.
which means I'm the only one left. All of a sudden, I hear banging upstairs. Crouching next to the wall to hide, I move across the wall until I reach the stairwell. Quietly moving up the stairs, the loud crashing of a door breaking open startles me a little. Quickening my pace up the stairs, I finally reach the top and head toward the noise. Realizing it originated from Natsuki's room, I quickly rush in and find Hideki holding her up by her neck, strangling her. Her tear-filled eyes stare down at him with distress and fear. Alright, it's time. Standing behind Hideki, I wrap my tired arm around his throat and throw my weight down while pivoting my hip. The movements cause Hideki to release Natsuki, send him flying over my shoulder. When he hits the ground, he quickly rolls backward to break his fall. He stands back up and looks in my direction, shocked and irritated at my interruption.
You have a lot of nerve distracting me from what I was doing, Julia. My name isn't Julia, Hideki. You're still alive!
Zero!
How did you survive? You of all people should know this by now.
I look over at Natsuki and then back to her father. You don't kill the Reaper that easily.
I'm a shapeshifter at this masquerade, hiding both face and mind, free for you to draw. I'm a shapeshifter, what a should to be. Please don't take off my mask, revealing dark.